Happy Friday! We are back with Ask Rachel Anything on Fridays here on Instagram. And today's question is, how long should I be planning for promotional and marketing activities before launching my apparel line? So this is a really great question that we got coming out of our Timekeepers workshop a couple of weeks ago, where people were kind of trying to figure out how to put together their own calendars for their brand. And this was a really great question to ask because it's not typically something that I cover with my content because I never claim to be a marketing expert. But if you are going to be planning for marketing and promotional activities before you launch your brand, we really recommend that you give yourself at least 6 to 12 months before your launch to start building your community, start building out all of your different social platforms, and getting people excited to buy your apparel pieces. So by doing that, what you can do, number one, is to name your brand and set up all of that information through like getting your own domain so that you have that claimed for your website. You'll want to claim that for as many social media platforms as you're interested in being on. So if you want to be on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and X, and you want to be on Pinterest and you want to be on YouTube, we really recommend that you take that name that you've decided to give your brand, go out and claim all of those as soon as you possibly can. It's also a really good practice. I think this is what we did when we started Unmarked Street, is to go out and think up maybe 10 different names. I know that sounds like a lot, but to come up with multiple different names that you might like to see your collection or your brand have, and then start doing research on what's available. So for example, we maybe had some different ideas instead of calling ourselves Unmarked Street, but when we went and did a domain search or we went and we looked on Instagram and Facebook, we found that those names were already taken. And so we scratched that one off the list and went to the next one while we did some research. And so that can be stage number one and step number one really of all of that marketing and promotional work. You want to have basically your rental space kind of set up on all of those different platforms so that as you decide to get on them and put content out, people are going to be able to familiarize themselves with you and your name in the same way on all of those different places. So that's kind of number one. Building out your website is something that is a little controversial from different people. Some people say you don't need to worry about a website right up front. You need to just worry about getting content out. You need to worry about building community, and you need to worry about getting people excited. One of the first things I did though was build my website. So that helped me kind of understand how fonts flowed, how colors looked, how different things were going to end up looking on my website so that I knew how things should look when they went out into social media world. So I went ahead and built my website first. That's something you can consider doing, or you can take advice of other people and leave that for a later project. You'll want to figure out some of your branding though. What are your branding colors? What are your fonts that you want to use? You want to have kind of a consistent look to everything that you're putting out. From there, what you want to do is start building community. So following people who you think are your ideal client or people that you want to sell to, engaging with them, commenting on their posts, DMing people, trying to genuinely build community, right? Social media is about being social, and we get rewarded through the algorithm when we are more social on these platforms. So if you're interested in building that community up and having maybe a lot of followers by the time you really launch your apparel brand, you want to start working on that as soon as possible, and you want to be as authentic as you possibly can. So if you're sending a message to someone, introduce yourself, just say hello. You don't necessarily want to be selling something to them right off the bat anyway. So the fact that you're early enough in your brand that you're not quite there, you're not quite selling, could be a really big advantage to you. There are plenty of other ways to build community. We have some clients who have decided to do Kickstarters, who really get people excited about the product that's to come through those types of crowdfunding and those kinds of fundraising activities. They set up events, or they host community runs, or there's a lot that you can do in the way of building community, gaining followers, and getting people to kind of come into your ecosystem. So that's something you can be working on while you're working on development, working on design, and getting ready for production. At the same time, to create excitement about your brand, we really recommend that you expose what you're doing every day. What's behind the scenes? What does your fitting look like? What is you opening your first proto look like? What people can see the look on your face when you open your very first physical proto. That can be really, really valuable to you and your brand, to get people excited, get people to know you as much as they possibly can. So putting your face on camera, being in the video, letting yourself be a representative of your own brand, being excited about it, being excited about growing your community, all of that can be really, really valuable to you. So you would be surprised how much time it takes to grow that community. And we just hit 15,000 followers here on Unmarked Street, and we've been doing this for 3 years. So it is going to take you some time to get to bigger numbers. We don't really recommend that you pay for followers because a lot of people can recognize that that's what you're doing. And so sometimes that actually works in the negative effect for you. If you can do it organically and you can get yourself out here and really get people to kind of follow you on their own, that will also energize them into buying your product once it becomes available. You can do pre-sales, so you can maybe a few months before your product actually arrives, you're in your production, you know what the timing looks like, you know exactly when you're going to launch. You can start a pre-sale process. You can get those excited community members to pay upfront, which maybe can help you pay for that purchase order. There are lots of different things that you can be doing in the way of promotions, in the way of marketing during that year that you're taking to design, develop, and produce your first inventory of goods. This is yet another reason why we here in the consulting and freelancing world of apparel and fashion like to say that you should be using at least a year as a standard for planning to launch your brand. If you're getting information out there from a factory who says, oh, we can do it in 4 months, think about all that other back-end stuff that you might want to be doing during that time. Is 4 months enough to build out your website, build your socials, grow your community, and get everybody excited to buy your product? If it is, and maybe you know exactly how to do that, maybe you're an expert in that and 4 months is enough, and you trust this factory to do right by you, and you think that they can really hit those timelines, I say go for it. You can try it. If you turn out that that doesn't end up being the case and you don't get your inventory until a year later, hopefully at least you're spending that time doing good things on social, building that community, promoting and marketing as much as you can. So that's our answer there. We really recommend 6 months to a year to be doing your marketing, doing your promotion. Be brave, get your face out there, get people excited, and it will reap rewards for you in the end. Okay, if you have a question for us, please let us know. We will be continuing our Ask Rachel Anything Fridays as we move forward here at Unmarked Street. So any questions that you have are totally on the table. I prefer to be an open book. If you ask me something rude, I might even answer it. So you never know. Okay, I'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend ahead.